What's up, y'all? I'm out here at the range, as you can see behind me, on this cold, sunny day. Temperatures hovering right in the mid-30s right now, so it's a chilly one. Supposed to get around 40, maybe low 40s by the time I'm out of here, so it definitely ain't gonna warm up anytime soon. But luckily, the wind has held off and this sun's coming out, so it doesn't feel quite as cold as it actually is. I've gotten one pretty interesting test done so far, and this right here should be some good 9mm. So, of course, the jelly contraption's set up, ready to go with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel. Only one test done so far, and it stayed completely where it should have, so there's no problem getting this one where it needs to be. Of course, I'm using my heavy clothing barrier as usual, with a layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we got for this one is definitely nothing new, but I just realized I'd actually never tested this stuff. This is the Underwood 9mm plus P 68 grain Xtreme Defender. Now, I've tested these XDs in the past in several other calibers and even 9mm. I personally would go with the 90 grain version of this in 9mm if this is what I was gonna run, but I had somebody actually ask me to test this through carbines, the 68 grain plus P, and then once I looked back to try to get some info, I realized I'd never even tested it in short barrels. So that's what we're gonna do here today. We're gonna start it out in some shorties to get us a baseline so I can do the carbine stuff. Now, if y'all not familiar with these, here's a look at your cartridge. Nice nickel plated case with that copper fluted projectile. That's what these XDs are. They're a solid copper fluted projectile. 68 grain on this one. Now, they're claiming 1,800 feet per second. Didn't have a test barrel listed, so I'm assuming 4.5, something like that. So we're gonna give them a couple different chances here as usual. For the shorty, I've got my Canik Mete MC9 with the 3.1 inch barrel, and then for the longer one, we've got the G17 with the 4.5 inch. So it ought to be pretty interesting to see what kind of performance we get from these really fast light rounds. Let's get everything set up and find out. All right, let's check these numbers. I'm gonna do a 5-round average from each barrel length, starting with this MC9 first. Now, you're gonna see multiple readings from this radar. Your large numbers right here at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one there is set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got the others set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. Now, they're saying 1,800 on this stuff. Didn't say a barrel length. I'm assuming we'll be shorter than that here. I've got a set for the larger velocity range, which is 1,600. I'm assuming we'll be at least above that with this even. Well, let's see what happens. Hopefully we don't have any kind of issues with this stuff. Woo, that's some loud stuff. 1798. I mean, that stuff is loud, y'all. 1806. 1774. 1795. And 1805. This stuff right here is rolling, buddy. Let's check out the average. All right, I definitely underestimated this stuff. Even from this short barrel, our 5-round average was 1796. So right there at the 1800, we had at least one over the 1800. Extreme spread was 33 with a 13.1 standard deviation. So nice consistency being a short barrel with that really spicy stuff right there. If this gives us this from the short barrel, then that G17 is definitely gonna have something for us. Let's get it reset and see what it does. All right, let's see what this G17 can squeeze out of these hot rods. This should be some pretty good numbers right here. Uh-oh, no reading on that one. I don't know what that was all about. Let's try that again. Let me back up some maybe. That's pretty interesting. Not sure why we're getting that, y'all. Let's try a little forward of it. I'm not getting any reading at all from this right here. That is very odd. All right, I colored this last one right here with a Sharpie. Sometimes that helps with these really light, fast rounds. It's kind of odd that it didn't have any problem with the MC9 and does with this. I guess just this much extra velocity. No telling really what this stuff's rolling on out of here at, but let's see if we can get this one right here. Hope. There we go, 1849, so really not that much faster. Let me see if I can color a few more and get us a little average. All right, I colored 4 more of them up with a Sharpie. Hopefully this will work, no guarantees, but at least we got one, so that's definitely a good thing. 1901, 1915, up error right there. See if we can get this last one. and 1880. So I'm glad I definitely sent these because that average is higher than that one round we had. Let's check it out. All right, we only got a 4-round average, but I ain't pressing my luck anymore. That 4-round average was 1886. We had a extreme spread of 66 with a 28.8 standard deviation. So 1886 here, and if you remember on the shorter barrel, it was 1796. So exactly 90 feet per second difference between them. That stands to reason given the barrel length and difference and all. All that being said, these little hot rods are definitely going to give us something to look at here in the gel. Probably a very nice energy transfer. The penetration distance is what I'm really curious about, being that they're only 68 grains. But let's get this stuff reset. Y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's Speedy Gonzalez jelly time. We'll put one from each barrel length into the gel, starting with this MC9. No doubt we're going to see some good stuff right here. It's just going to be interesting to see how far they go and if these things tumble. A lot of times you see these fluted solid rounds tumble, depending on caliber, really. All right, that should have been a good one. Let me go see what we got. All right, y'all, that's some fantastic looking performance down there from that one right there. And this stuff really feels unusually hard hitting to be a really lightweight round. I mean, this stuff really feels like it's putting a thump down there. Let's see what this 17 does. All right, that should have been another good one. Let's go check these out. All right, let's check this stuff out down here, y'all. I'm actually very impressed by what I'm seeing out of this stuff. Y'all know, if you watch my channel much, I'm usually not the biggest fan of really light for caliber stuff, which is what this is. 68 grains is very light for caliber for 9mm. But this right here, there's something about this stuff, I can't really describe it. It's very loud, but it's also got like a boom. I mean, you can almost feel it in your chest. It just feels like you're really delivering a potent punch down range. And really you are. I mean, it's only 68 grains, but this stuff, for instance, on the top here, this is the one from the MC9. You can see comes in here, absolute fantastic energy transfer, really all the way through its travel. Now, are these tumbles? Possibly. It's very likely that these could be tumbles. Hard to say without a big high-dollar high-speed camera, but either way, this is some super nice energy transfer all the way through this block, goes into the second block, and it is sitting down here sideways, not completely backwards, but it's sideways. So again, hard to say if it tumbled. Looks like about an inch into this second block. So fantastic penetration to go with this energy transfer. And these things really are packing a punch as far as energy. This one right here is right at 500 foot-pounds of energy, high 400s. And then this one from the G17, if we look at it down below, this one's in the mid 500s as far as foot-pounds of energy. And once again, comes in here, very, very nice transfer of energy right here, all the way through its travel once again into this second block. And this is something I really do like about these fluted copper rounds. They normally give you the same performance regardless of barrel length, and they basically did right here. You might have an extra ½ inch of penetration on this 17, but nearly identical. Now, as far as the distance on them, the one on the top from the MC9, that one is at 17.5 inches, so absolutely perfect right there. And then the G17 down below that is actually 17.75. So these rounds give you absolute perfect performance. And here's your close-up look at them. Again, incredibly nice transfer of energy all the way through their travel, all the way through this first block. Very, very nice. Into the second block, and you can see nearly identical. And then from the top, once again, they look very, very similar. Very nice disruption again all the way through there. And once again, if we kind of get right even with them, you can see virtually no difference. All right, let's check out these projectiles. Now, one thing I will have to say about these copper fluted tests, there's not really anything exciting to look at when you start looking at the projectiles, because they really never deform, they never do anything, which is a good thing as far as performance, but just not really anything fancy to look at here. Now, the markings up on the fluted area, that's from the Sharpie I colored these with to get a good reading. You can see hollow up underneath, very very, very light 68 grain projectile. They did a fantastic job there. You can see no deformation at all, which is what you want. Not really much to say about these solid copper fluted rounds. But let's get to numbers and see what it looks like. They started at 68 grains. That one from the MC9, 68.0 grains, right on the dot. And then this one here from the G17, 68.1 grain. And then as far as the sizes, it's just gonna be a diameter and a length. So the MC9 here, 353, 354, that way 354, and then the length of 494. And then this one from the 17, 354 right there, 349, just maybe a little deformation, 354 again, and then your length here, 502. So there you go, y'all, a long overdue test of the Underwood 68 grain plus P Extreme Defenders in 9mm. Fantastic stuff right here. Again, as somebody who's not the biggest fan of light for caliber rounds, I think these did a really, really nice job. I actually would have no problem carrying these. I know that probably sounds surprising because I'm always talking about, you know, 124 lead expander, but this is some nice stuff. It's just really hard to describe the feeling of this stuff, just the boom and the feeling that you're really putting some power down range. And obviously you are. I mean, you got plenty of foot-pounds. As far as the weight, I mean, that would still be a concern if I had to really get through something, but as fast as these things are moving, you may be able to make up with it for the speed. But either way you look at it, I think you've got to give this stuff credit for doing a fantastic job. All right, y'all, I'm gonna wrap it up right there for what I think was some really good performance from these little copper hot rods. I ain't saying this converted me to a light for caliber kind of guy, but these right here were very impressive. I definitely wouldn't have any problem if this was what I had loaded up. Especially when you're talking two-legged threats, this stuff right here would do an absolute beautiful job. The only slight concern I would have is if I needed to get through something hard, would this lightweight round still do it? And with this kind of velocity, it probably would. I'm definitely going to be doing a follow-up soon with these through a carbine and maybe set up some type of harder barrier just to see what these would go through. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about this stuff. Those of y'all who do carry these fluted copper rounds, which ones do you carry? Which weight do you carry? Standard pressure plus P. What do you think about this performance right here? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. Big thanks once again to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got one more really interesting test planned for out here today, so make sure you stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.